Hello, all you tiny, beautiful people that live in my computer, phone, laptop, tablet, watch, whatever it is that you're stuck in as of me recording this, or as you're viewing this, I guess. I don't know. Could be watching me on a Samsung smart fridge, for all I know. Um, this video is going to be less fun than normal. I mean, even when I'm talking about something very, very serious, there's always a sort of there's always some sort of like silver lining of comedy or maybe like a positive ending to a story. This is going to be very much a in-depth analysis, explanation. I don't know the right term. It's going to be me talking about pretty much just my life in general. I'm going to talk about abuse, neglect. I'm going to be talking about anything that fits in that sort of like negative umbrella as a way of putting out to the world what I have been through. Because I feel like I'm fairly open about the fact that I've had a shitty upbringing and that I've been through a lot, but I haven't. A lot of it people have heard through Discord, bits and pieces I've talked about here on the channel. But as a whole, the stuff that plagues me and has made me the person I am today is mostly unknown. And I feel like changing that. Not only is it a way of me putting it out there to you guys, putting it out there to the world, it's also a way of me talking about it without having to worry about pushback from another party. So I'm just going to talk about life. There will be no really perfect order, because I'm going to try to go from youngest to oldest in the order of events towards the present. However, there's got to be things that I forget early and I bring up later. I don't know how long this video is going to be, because I haven't scripted it. I don't have any sort of log of bullet points or anything. I'm just going to say what shows up, all of which is true, all of which I have been through. Obviously, there's a chance that I over-exaggerate something, or that I oversell it, maybe undersell it, who knows when I get there. I guess this is enough of a preamble and enough of a setup. I can just go into it. To start, my life was never, like, perfect. I didn't, like, start fine and then have stuff mess up later. When I was born, my father had already began to be cheating on my mother. And before I was a full year old, that was made prevalent to my mother, who then divorced my father. And my father didn't actually pay, like, what's it called? He didn't pay child support. My father didn't pay child support. The reason why is because my mother didn't want to press him about it legally, due to the fact that he had not paid taxes since like 2001. I was born in 05. So at this point it's probably early 2006. No, late 2006. I'm an August baby. So there's that. After this, my mother would be a single parent, and she would be dropping me off at places, whether it be with an aunt, an uncle, grandparents, great aunt, great uncle, whoever. During this time, I was left a lot with my grandfather, who I don't actually know the first name of. He was my grandpa's dad, so my great grandpa. And he never did anything to me. However, his son, my great uncle, took care of me a lot. And at a certain point, and this is a story that I don't remember. It was told to me by my mother, my aunt, my uncle, and one of my older cousins. I was at their place while my mother was working. Then uh, I wasn't, and I was just with said great uncle. Some very inappropriate things happened. And then my mother came and got me and didn't let me go back. I don't remember this stuff, so I can't speak to the extent of what happened. I just know that it happened. I know that it's a lot of the reason I'm super freaky. Not like that. Like, I get frightened in more intimate scenarios. Is based a lot on that. Um, the only thing I know for sure is that it was the first time that something like that happened, not the last. Um, at this point, I am 2 years old. Uh, I think what I'll do from this point forward is I will go by genre of issue instead of time. So I'll just keep going in the sexual misconduct area, and then I'll get on to the next thing. So, trigger warning for those who don't want to hear about stuff like that, especially that to me at the time being a minor. If you're uncomfortable with that, please either leave the video or skip forward. The next time I can think of something like that happening is fast forward. I am 8-ish years old. My mother is currently on methamphetamines. She is in and out of different men's homes. She is in and out of different areas. I am safe for the most part, but not fully. During this time, I remember a boyfriend of hers being very upset at her for, I believe, something to do with his money. I don't remember exactly. And he went towards my mother in an aggressive fashion. Me being a tiny child, trying to preserve what little family I had, got in the way. That led to this 30-something-year-old man looking to the 8-year-old me and just close fist bop. I don't know how good it shows up on camera. Damn, I'm white. I forget about that. I think it's on this side. I don't know how to make it show up better. Right there, it sort of shows up. It's very pixelated. I have a cut on my cheek from where this man hit me. I don't know the man's name. I don't believe I was around him ever again. And I don't know how often he was around before that. I don't know if that is the only time that he hit me. But I know that he did. I've had that. A, I remember it. B, I've been told by my mother that it happened and that she didn't allow us to be around him ever again. So that's good. But I have another memory of maybe the same guy, maybe a different guy. I don't necessarily remember the face, but it's around the same time frame where she was asleep and man came into my room. At this point, I'm living still in Arkansas in a single wide trailer, 2 rooms in it. The one room my mother's, one being mine, sometimes my sister's, depending on if she was in the picture or not, based on if she was with her father. And trigger warning again. I don't remember a lot of it. I don't remember if it's the only thing that happened. I don't remember if there was more. But this man who I don't know entered my room and then pressed himself against me. At this point, I'm not moved in with my grandmother yet. So I'm 7, I think. And this man presses himself against me. And proceeds to get himself off by grinding against my backside. I don't know if it went further. I don't know if it was the only time this happened. I don't know if there's any other instances of this man doing anything to me. But I remember that. I remember not knowing what it meant. I remembered not knowing why I felt so negatively about it. Because at this point, I'm mature enough because I've had so much go on and because I've had to be so much of an adult. I've had to cook, I've had to clean all this stuff. I was mature enough to know that it shouldn't have happened, but I wasn't mature enough to know why. I don't remember the man. I hope that was it. But, there's another instance of that. Fast forward to... God, I don't know how old I was. Fast forward a little. I am still living with my mother, and my uncle is there. He has been in and out of jail and or prison. And, I'm at least a little bit older. I don't know how much older. It was before I moved in with my grandma, so I wasn't 9 yet. But I was older than 7. So I was either in late of being 7 or somewhere in the 8-year-old range. But I remember him consoling me and telling me that everything was okay. And I remember things not being okay, as he, much like the first time I remember, was pressing himself against me. However, this time it for sure didn't stop there. I don't remember every detail, but I remember it was on the hardwood floor. I remember not knowing what it meant, but knowing that it hurt. And I remember feeling so much weight on my back and my shoulders. And I remember crying, but not being able to speak. As I was I don't feel like I don't think I have to explain what happened. Fast forward a little while. I am living with my grandmother, and I go to my mom's every once in a while for weekends. And I was going to church. I'm not going to say the name of the church or anything, as I don't feel like villainizing anybody there other than the person who deserves to be. But I went on a camping trip with a bunch of people from this church. There was only 2 adults, both female, one of which did nothing wrong, the other of which did a lot wrong. I I don't remember everything like usual, but I remember her telling me and another kid that we were going to help her set up camp while the others uh, gathered firewood, and we helped her set up the big tent. But then we were we were used for her pleasure. I can't speak of what the other kid had to do, um, but I remember the woman kissing me, specifically my neck and my collarbone on the right side. And I remember her groping me up front. And I remember her kissing on the other kid. I can't say what else she did to him. I don't remember. Uh, but there's that. The fast forward again. The first relationship I was in after discovering myself and figuring out that I am trans, I uh, was in a relationship with a boy from school. I thought if I was a woman, I had to be with a man, so I tried it. And um, the first time we hung out, he was very forward and forceful. He, while at a park, school playground, really, he, without saying anything or the mood calling for it, he was grabbing at my thighs and at my ass. Um, and then, for whatever reason, he decided to hit me in the chest. He did this 3 times that I can remember. At this point, I'm almost 16, I think. No, it would have been after my birthday, because school starts during my birthday. So I was 16. Um, and while hitting me in the chest, he was exclaiming that I couldn't be a real woman because I didn't have breasts. He would then, without permission, leave a hickey on the left side of my neck. And then I was not cool talking with him anymore. And I didn't. But I haven't gotten over that. Um, uh, luckily, that's all I can remember of sexual stuff. I don't know if there's more. I hope not. But I don't know. I forget a lot of traumatic stuff. So I hope that that's all of that. Uh, Now I'm gonna talk about physical abuse, which I guess that was physical abuse. Start early. My father would pick me up every once in a while to take me with him to work. He installed windows. He would take me out of town, out of state, whatever. And he would pick me up from my mom's, take me with him for 2 days, 3 days, 4, whatever. And if I was in the back seat or whatever and I wouldn't be quiet, instead of saying anything, he would pop me with, I guess you'd call it like a backhanded slap. Um, Usually upper chest, shoulder area. But it's not like he was spanking me or whatever, where he tells me to stop and then does it. He would just hit me. He would just pop me. Uh, so that was helpful. I still flinch. I still flinch. If people pick their hands up around me, I still get jumpy. If somebody moves towards me too fast, I still, like, guard, drop, hide. Similarly, the uncle who forced himself on me would often put me and one of my cousins into a chokehold, usually like a one-handed rear naked, or like a simple little guillotine. And he wouldn't do this in like a way where we were like playing or wrestling. He would just choke us. I couldn't tell you how long. I know it felt like forever. I can only think of one time where I passed out from it. So there's that. And if my neck is constricted, I usually freak out. So that's cool. I had the lady from the church who pushed herself on me and another young kid. She would hit us in like the little Sunday school thing where they would send all the kids off to a different part of the building. She would hit us if we were joking or if she was reading and somebody talked. She would just open hand just pop you. And then on that camping trip, she would take like thin pieces of like a stick, and she would like pull it back and let go and let it pop your arm. And I think she only did that to me once or twice. Because I don't remember it a whole lot. I feel like I would. But I saw her do it to other kids. A lot more. When I stayed with my aunt and uncle on my mom's side, there was a period where I was extremely depressed. It was the first time I really understood that my life was not normal, because I'd never known that it was different or that it was wrong. I had just kind of known that being life. And I was very, very sad. And if my older cousin, who I believe was 14 at the time, and I was 6, maybe 7, maybe 8, I don't know. I'm bad with time. Um, Anytime he would see me hiding myself or crying or openly depressed or just unhappy, he would like do light punches. Sometimes he really liked Harry Potter, and he would get sticks and then he would cover them in like glue, like like hot glue, to make them look like wands. And sometimes he would hold them by the thinner end and like just flick it at you, which isn't that much of a problem until it rotates wrong and the like stiff sharp end pokes you. And he would just throw them. He would have like 3 or 4 at a time and just chuck them. One time, we were all in the yard playing like baseball, and I hit a ball further than he did. And then on the next go around, as like a way of getting at me, he took the bat to my head. It was one of those metal bats that are like hollow at the end, but towards the middle they still have the weight. And he pinged it about... where's my ear start? A little bit past there. Somewhere around there. I'll forget this, so I'm going to say it now. While living there, if I would cry for my mom or for my grandmother, the aunt and the uncle would punish me, usually just locking me in the room that I shared with my cousin with the lights off or whatever. But they would lock me in there if I cried for either of them, because they didn't want me to be with my mom, probably due to her being on meth at the time, but I don't know why they didn't want me to be with my grandmother, because there was like nothing going on there. My father, on some random Father's Day, I was with my mother at my uncle's place. Not that uncle. And this was my dad's brother, who was just the sweetest guy who'd never hurt a fly. And my dad came in, didn't say anything to my mother, didn't say anything to me. Meanwhile, it's Father's Day, I feel like he would come up to me if he cared. He got a bunch of his stuff out of the back of the house, and then got into a verbal dispute with my uncle. He then went to hit my uncle. I got in the way. He stopped before hitting me, and then he just slapped me. I remember it ringing. I remember that ringing being the only noise I heard for a minute. And now, whenever anything happens by this ear that like pops at all, it kind of like freaks me out. Obviously, I can't show it. It's like stubbing your toe. I can't like... It's not like the same. I can't show you. It has to happen naturally. But that's cool. Verbal abuse time. Woohoo! Fuck. My father, baby, I have been called some names. Rather it be retard, faggot, anything that starts with fuck and or motherfucker, bitch. Sissy's not like a slur, but you get it. That sort of thing a lot by him. Being told to fuck off. One time while high, he told me and my grandmother to kill ourselves. That was cool. During a time where I was already very much towards that. A lot of my childhood is that sort of verbal abuse, but I can't remember what the fuck people are saying because I have that stupid thing where when trauma happens, my brain says no. So I can't remember a lot of that, but it's there. The stuff with my dad was so bad that only a few months ago, in my grandmother's front yard, my father was high, and he came into the yard and he was talking shit to my grandma, talking shit to me, talking shit to my cousin, who is 14. He was trash talking and about to fight a 14-year-old. God. He was gonna fight a 14-year-old girl and his fucking 60-year-old mom. And this was, I don't know, the 5th time that week that he showed up like this and started a fight. He would proceed to shove my grandmother, shove my cousin, and then I got close, told him to fuck off, leave them alone, blah, 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 blah. Paraphrasing. All he said to me was, "Stay the fuck out of this, boy." That's it. And I froze. I didn't freeze for a second and start moving. I didn't freeze and listen. I froze, and from that moment until he is no longer visible around me, he was down the fucking road. I have no memory of that. That period doesn't exist. Like a 4-minute period of him continuing and then trekking off that I just can't remember because my brain, I don't know, just shut the fuck off. I was just so terrified that I stopped existing. So that's a thing. I'm gonna forget this, so I'll bring it up. It's another physical abuse thing. My cousin, who at the time was... I had just moved into my grandma's, so I was just barely... Nope. Yeah, just barely 9 years old, I think. Then... Yeah, I'm just barely 9. So he would have been 16. My cousin, who was 16, in the pool, me, him, and his sister, who was, at this point, 7, he just starts fucking holding us under. And not for a couple seconds. He held us under until she passed out. I didn't, but I very distinctly remember her passing out, and then him freaking out, giving her, like, really shitty CPR and her waking back up. But he was just drowning us. And I can only remember 2 times of it happening, but I'm pretty sure it happened more. Because he was left in charge of us all the time, because my grandma worked all day, every day. And my grandfather had 1 leg and didn't do much. So that was a period of life. That was a segment of my existence. Back to verbal abuse. There was a period where I was living with my grandma. My cousin still lived there, so I wasn't 11. I had to be 10, because it was after a year being there. My father, who does not have custody of me, and hasn't ever, not one time, ever since him and my mom divorced, he has not had even partial custody of me. So that's a thing. He came to my grandma's house, forced me to go with him, and we left. According to my grandmother, we were gone for 3 weeks. To me, it felt like way longer, but that's me being a 10-year-old thinking it's longer. But he straight up kidnapped me. I went to school, and then by the time I had stepped out the front door, he was there, waiting to take me, and he would grab me by the forearm and drag me to the vehicle. So there was that. During this point, I made a friend, who I will not say the name of, because the stuff I will say about them is fucking horrible. But I'm gonna speed run that friend and the stuff that happened with them. So we become friends. I invite them over. They come to the house. Me and my dad were living in a literal fucking church. Not like, oh, near a church and we went all the time. Living in the church. The, like, main hall is here where everybody sits and talks about Christ. Then there is a back room where people get baptized. And then there's a kitchen and a bed. That's where we stayed, is that kitchen and bed. In the back of this fucking church. So he came over to there. And then I went to stay at his place after crying about not liking my dad and about the fact that we were fucking starving and I hadn't eaten anything other than my free school lunch in like 5 days. So I went to his place for a bit. Nighttime came. It was time to go to bed. And I, at this point, have not slept alone in my life. I slept with my mother. I slept with my father. I slept with a cousin in the same room but not in the same bed. Like, me in a pallet, them in a bed, or whatever. I had never slept alone in a room in my fucking life. And then randomly in somebody else's house, I'm asked to, so I freak out about it. And then my father comes and gets me, we go home. On the way home, he berates me for being a pussy, berates me, ha ha, you're stupid, blah 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 blah, why are you afraid of blah blah blah. Very helpful. Skip forward, like a month, I'm back at living with my grandma's. This friend comes over after school, and 2 weird things happen. A, he shows me his penis. Without saying anything, he just shows me his penis. He then forced me to touch it. It didn't become much after that, other than him going, the fuck home. The fuck home. But he forced me to palm his penis, which is uncool. Shortly after that, we learned that he stole a shitload of money out of my great-grandma's bedroom. This woman is, at this point, 74, I think. And he stole probably $20 of change out of this woman, out of this old lady's fucking room. So there's that. Huh. I had forgotten about that. I had forgotten about that situation. Anyways, back to verbal abuse and what have you. While I was living with my dad, the only time I ever fucking lived with my dad, I was eating once a day. If it was a weekend and there was no school, I was eating once. If there was school, I was eating school and then like a fucking 4-piece nugget. So there was that. Elongated periods of no people. Like him going to work and then me being home for like a full weekend by myself with no food. Or fucking being left with my grandpa, who was a known fucking pedophile. and rapist. Two separately. He was known for both of those on separate occasions. Being left with him all the fucking time. Who knows if he ever did anything to me? Skip forward. My grandfather, not that one, different grandfather, the one with one leg, would verbally berate, belittle, and demean anything I did or said. Especially towards the end, whenever he was going a little bit cray-cray. He would chuck shit at me, whether it be a can, or a rock, or a plate, or whatever. He would just throw shit at me, whilst verbally berating me, usually about the fact that I was short or skinny, making fun of me for that, calling me a sissy, shit like that. That's fun. I was in football for a week, and I knew that he fucking loved football, and I wanted him to praise me for something in life. But instead, he told me that I wasn't cut out for it, told me I was too small, too puny, told me that I'd never make it, so I quit. My father would continue verbally abusing me, berating me, belittling me, demeaning me, putting down anything that I said or did, up until literal months ago. Yeah, that shit happened up till, the day before I moved up here. So that's cool. So there's that, which is awesome. Isn't that super fucking cool? Please leave me alone, phone people. I'm trying to do things. I'm trying to talk about stuff and things. Little phone people. Okay, phone people, leave me alone for a while. So there's that. The countless times my aunt belittled me. The dwarf. Countless times my uncle belittled me. The pedophile. Countless times my other uncle belittled me. The other pedophile. Oh yeah. That uncle, famously, trekked around my grandma's house whilst I was 3 with his dick out. Which is awesome. So that's cool. He did that, which is super positively looked up at, actually. And then there was a time where I spent about a week at their place, that uncle and that aunt's. And I slept on the couch, and I remember waking up to his hand on my thigh, but really high up on my thigh. That was weird. Don't know if anything else happened. That's all I remember. So that's cool. Honestly, on the verbal abuse front, all I can really say is every member of my family verbally abusive. So there's that. The first girlfriend I ever had, also abusive. Verbally. Very not good. She would love bomb me, treat me like shit, and then not talk to me. So Monday and Tuesday she would treat me good. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday she would treat me like shit, and then the weekend she would pretend I didn't exist. We were together for a year, and then during my birthday, which is in August, she didn't talk to me. From August 2nd till August 23rd. My birthday's the 18th. She just didn't talk to me all that time. Fucking 21, I think, is the math there, days of just not talking to me. Her dad talked to me and wished me a happy birthday. Her mom reached out to me because she wanted to ask if I was okay. She hadn't heard from me in such a long time. But, there's that, I guess. I don't know how to continue that. My eyes hurt from tear ducts. Also, Discord keeps exploding. My eyeball hurts. Whilst living at my grandma's, whenever any of my cousins were over, didn't matter which ones, I would wake up and I sleep. I sleep in my boxers. I don't like to sleep with a bunch of clothes on. It's uncomfortable. Maybe it's the tism. I don't know. But I would sleep there, and I had my own room at this point. It's not like other people were in there with me. I would wake up and have drawings, words, stuff like that put on my inner thighs in marker. Red, green, purple, whatever. There would just be markers that had been like just scribed in. Sometimes it was my name. Sometimes it'd be something like 2 plus 2. Sometimes it would be like a star. But it was like good handwriting, and I have really bad handwriting, so it wasn't me. So that's weird. Who knows how the fuck that adds up? And that was like a thing I noticed when I was like 12, and it didn't go away until I was like 18. Because whenever I was 18, I could lock my door. Because I would tell my grandma, like, I'm locking my door. I'm a fucking adult. I'm locking my door. I have a vehicle, I have a job, I help you pay bills and shit. I'm locking my bedroom door. So there was that. When I got my ears pierced, 3 separate adults in my family made big deals about it. 2 of which, their way of making a big deal about it was to grab it and try to yank it out of my fucking ear. Which definitely didn't hurt. One of these occasions caused this one, the one on the right, to swell up, get infected, and then spew pus. So that was cool. Glad that fucking happened. Then, when me and my grandmother go to pick my dad up out of prison, well, no, he had been transferred out of prison to another prison, out of that prison into another, and then out of that one into a jail. So it was out of jail. He saw, and his response was also to grab and yank when it was already infected. I love people. I love people. So there's that. Gonna move away from that and talk about a different type of abuse. Wah wah! Neglect time. I was left alone all the fucking time as a child. Anywhere from 2 years old to 18. I was left alone all the fucking time. I was left alone to sleep. I was left alone to make food. I was left alone with my younger siblings to make them food and shit. I was trusted to go to school by myself from like, I don't know, fucking 7. No, I take that back. A little bit up, probably 10. Because whenever I was 7, I was still walking to school literal miles with my mother. So that wasn't alone yet. I was expected to cook. I was expected to clean. And I don't mean like 15 years old learning to cook. I'm talking I was making food for me and my sister whenever I was like 4. When I was 3. Like, I don't speak fucking English yet. But I'm cooking and cleaning. And expected to change diapers and shit. Really cool. And I did that a lot. And being left alone a lot, too. Like, I think between my second birthday and me being 15, I spent more hours alone than I have spent hours as an adult currently. And I turned 19 back in August. Let me figure that out. Let me do that math right quick. How many hours since August 18th, 2022? 21,164 hours I've been an adult. I spent that times like, I don't know. I probably spent an actual I probably genuinely spent 3 years of my life by myself. And or with another child. And no adults. And that's crazy. That's fucking insane. That shouldn't happen. And I'm not counting me as 15, 16, 17 taking care of 10-year-olds. I'm talking specifically me at 2, 3, 5, 7, 10, maybe 12. That fucking era. So that's cool. That's awesome. On top of all that neglect, all that verbal, mental, physical abuse, on top of the guilt thrown at me by people, and the religious upbringing that didn't help at all, on top of all of that, I'm neurodivergent. So, whenever anybody watching this that is also neurodivergent, and you have any idea of how that shit works, you know that stubbing your toe as a neurotypical person and a neurodivergent person is an amplification of that pain. Hearing a loud noise as a neurodivergent person is an amplification of that issue. Sometimes it's like a full different level of sensitivity. Lights can cause issues. Whatever. People touching you when you don't want it. An issue. Now, all that trauma, all that abuse, all that neglect, throw that on top of being a fucking autistic person who may or may not also have ADHD. Throw that on top of there and just mix that shit up and then put me inside of a jar and then throw it at the wall and then light it on fire so the house burns down, and then take the ash, put it into an urn, drop it into the ocean where it's eaten by a giant fucking shark, and then you take the shark and have it be molested 12 times, then you have me. And to preface everything, and to get this point across, because I don't want there to be some precedent that's set and isn't accurate. That's not everything. That is what I can currently think of. My brain hates neglect. My brain hates trauma. My brain hates abuse, and it forgets a lot of it. I've been randomly remembering shit as we go. And there's been plenty of shit where it's like, I'm telling you a story that I was told that I can't fucking remember. Because there's a lot of the shit that I just can't remember. My brain is just blocked out. So, with a grain of heavy salt and heavy rain, this isn't everything. There's a bunch of shit that I'm not remembering right now. There's a bunch of shit I can't remember at all. There could be 2 or 3 times as many things as I've brought up so far. Keep that in mind. Fuck. Fun fact, I can't sleep in the dark. I spent nights with no power, no food, whatever. And those nights were my least favorite. Because even though I was in pain, I haven't eaten, haven't slept, whatever, I could still get some sort of, positivity. I could still watch the same DVD for the 800th time, or pay attention to the noise that a fucking yellow light made. But on those nights where it was dark and there was nothing happening, was the worst. Because it didn't matter if I was touched, it didn't matter if I had eaten, it didn't matter if I had been hit, it didn't matter if I had fucking drank water in the past 8 hours. all that mattered was that I was able to occupy my brain with something so I didn't think about all of the pain. And those nights sucked. So to this day, sleeping in the dark makes me cry, makes me throw up, makes me wake up and cry more, makes me contemplate my own death, and so on and so forth. More negativity that has to do with the darkness. Awesome. Yay! Oh yeah, hold up. So, I'm 19. Okay? I am 19 years old. I have not been on this planet for 20 years yet. Well, if you count the time I spent inside of my mother's tum-tum, then yeah. But I have been alcohol-free for 4 years, 3 months, 8 hours, 40 minutes, 25 seconds. Yes, it's down to the minute. I don't know about the seconds. That's a bit iffy. So, that's how long I've been alcohol-free. Think about that. 3 months ago would have been October. Nope, wait. January, December. Yeah, October. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, October. That adds up. I'm gonna burp, so my apologies for that audio. I was 15 when I stopped drinking. I was 13 the first time I drank. Or 14. Early 14 or late 13, one or the other. It was summer. So it was either late 13 or early 14. I don't know fucking math. I think that's the math there. I had access to alcohol as a child. And not like I had to sneak it. I was being given alcohol by adults. My father, a bunch of my cousins, uncles, just giving me twisted teas, Grey Goose, fucking, like, whatever, Modelo. Usually a really, like, piss-tasting aluminum bottle. What is the Michelob, I think it was? I don't know. But I was just given alcohol. And, like, I'm an adult now, and I don't like to smoke. I don't like weed. I do it to be funny sometimes, because I feel like people need me to, or want me to, and I am a people pleaser, and I try too hard, and it sucks, and I genuinely just don't want to smoke ever again, but I keep doing it. I'm not addicted. I can stop. I have stopped for elongated periods. But, like, I purposely choose to, because I feel as though other people... I haven't in a while, though. I haven't in months, actually. I've been contact high, like, a couple times, but I haven't, like, smoked at all since November. Okay, hold up. Eminence calling me. Hello. Hi. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Hi. This has been cut off. I'm very, very unhappy right now. So, Amidon and his father are God knows how fucking far away. And I have to drive a vehicle that isn't mine, to them, because they're no longer on the fucking road. So now I know how they felt the couple times this happened to me. I think I'm gonna fucking throw up. I love you guys. Stay safe. Oh, let's see how far away it is before I end this, just to know how fucking far it is. 44 minutes. I'm going to kill myself. Ah! Fuck! Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye.